Welcome to the Rotojoes Fantasy Football Podcast, guys. Tonight we have exclusively, for the most part, rookie running back talk. Before we get to the rookie running back talk, let's talk about Rachaad White. Is Rachaad White going to be able to be a three-down workhorse? Today, Todd Bowles came out and said they see White playing in the three-down role. I'm just not seeing it, though.
That one's hard for me to believe, too. It's hard for me to believe on that team. That team's falling apart. They're going into week one. Glad as hell they signed Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
Lost a lot of key pieces around the offensive line, defensive side of the ball. I don't like it, but I mean, if you're talking fantasy relevance, opportunity's king. So he's a guy, good, bad, or indifferent. If he's getting that kind of workload, you got to at least, see where the value falls. I haven't done that much research on Rachaad White this offseason yet, but he's a guy I'd be comfortable taking if they don't do anything, don't add anybody, I'd love to take him just opportunity alone. You never know what'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, at the right price, yes. After the first 5 rounds,
Yeah.
Rachaad White. Before that, probably not. And I bet that's where he goes as 5 or 4 in most drafts.
Oh.
As long as they don't add anyone. Lenny's gone, but the offense just stinks. Baker Mayfield's going to play quarterback. Why do you want? He's not Nick Chubb. Why do you want any part of a Baker Mayfield running back?
Yeah, I mean, here's the question: does Leonard Fournette ever play football again?
That's a good question. I could see him maybe ring chasing a little bit, but I don't think he ever plays a serious role.
You think he's going to take the Melvin Gordon role in Kansas City?
No. Yeah, what I was thinking.
The precedented Melvin Gordon role in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean that would be about what I'd expect. Okay, do we think Mac Jones is going to start more than 8 games in 2023?
Who's going to stop him?
Bailey Zappi.
For one guy being drafted in the first round and one guy being drafted in the 5th round, I don't feel like there's enough of a gap there. Or what was it, 5th, 6th, 7th? I can't remember.
Zappi was 5th.
5th. Yeah, a guy being drafted in the first round and a guy being drafted in the 5th, I don't feel like there's much of a difference as there should be,
You know what the difference is? You can move off of Zappi quicker.
You can move off of Mac Jones. I mean, his contract's guaranteed, but he's a serviceable backup. Go get Lamar, but they won't. They're playing.
I'm not sure we're out of it, actually, if I'm being honest. You remember when we weren't going to get Randy Moss either? The smart move for any team trying to get Lamar is to wait for the draft to be over. Because the idea would be if you have a high pick and you get Lamar, you have a lower pick. So if I'm being honest, I think that right after the draft, Lamar sweepstakes is going to hit a frenzy. I'm sure there's going to be the Colts. It'll probably start with the fucking Colts. The Colts will probably offer too much, and then the Falcons will see and be like, oh, well, we can do this now, and then it's just going to trickle down. The NFL owners might not want to do fully guaranteed deals. I think they want Super Bowls, and Lamar Jackson in the right system is a ticket to one potentially. New England, he fits the best, I think, due to the running and the defense and all the things that Bill wants to do. But I think this Lamar situation heats up.
I think it does too. I posted on Twitter the other day. I was like, "Here's the deal, man. It's not that no one wants Lamar Jackson, the quarterback, because we've talked about it. Lamar Jackson makes 24 or 25 teams better.
The NFL knows that.
Yeah, everybody with a fucking pair of eyes can see that. If you don't have Joe Burrow, you don't have Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Herbert, Lawrence. Those are pretty much the few exceptions to that rule. But he's a top 10 quarterback, and 24, 25 teams could use him. It's the price. I mean, you got to realize these teams are talking about giving up 2 first-round picks and $250 million on the light side.
Yeah. Is a lot to give up.
Now, the Colts, I don't know if it's going to be the Colts, because I think the Colts will inevitably draft somebody, whether it be Levis, whether it be Richardson. They will take a pick high, so that'll take them out. But teams that I like to pick up the phone after the draft are Detroit, Atlanta, maybe Seattle.
Seattle's an interesting one.
Yeah, maybe Seattle. There's a lot of different scenarios where I can see this playing out, especially if they've got an average guy on a big contract that they could potentially shove in Baltimore's way at the same time. That's the kind of teams that I like to maybe, because you got to look at the pure facts of it. I know we're going on a little long with this, but you're talking about adding $50 million potentially to your salary cap this year. There's only so many teams that can handle it as is right now.
Oh.
So I see a situation where someone shoves a Jared Goff at him to get some money off the books, or I'm trying to think of a better one. But Jared Goff's the one, something like that, where they got to get a big contract off the books to make it work. But yeah, I think you're right. I think right after the draft, it goes from silent to real hot and heavy.
Yeah, I really want to see Lamar in the Todd Monken offense, but I don't think we're going to see it.
I want to see him in Detroit. I said that about last year, and goddamn, I'd love to see it.
So he could overthrow Jameson Williams.
If he overthrows Jameson Williams, there's a problem.
Well, even if he got it there, Jameson would probably drop it. And if you pressed him, he's just fucked. All right.
Man, you are a Jameson hater.
Why is he a top 15 wide receiver in Dynasty right now? Other than he runs fast and he's tall. I go fast. How many times have we done this? I go fast and I'm tall. Does not mean you're good.
I traded him in Dynasty. I took him with the 110 last year, traded him for the 106. I profited, and he played 2 games?
Well, and he's not gonna at his best outcome is a couple Will Fuller wide receiver 10 type years. And that's assuming that Jared Goff is a good quarterback and he pushes the ball. I'm not in on Jameson. All right, let's go. Top 10 running backs. It's about draft season. We are in draft month. We're 3.5 weeks away. Caden, let's start with your RB10. We're pretty similar on the list, but we have some differences. Your RB10 is Tyjae Spears from Tulane. Why is he all the way down at 10? I assume
So for me, 5'10", 201, my outlook for him is just an average starter, and that's something he's going to have to work up to. He's got high production in a smaller school. I see him being a change of pace back in the NFL. He had 7 yards per carry at Tulane, which is enormous, but we've seen a lot of guys in bigger programs with high yards per carry in their system and just never really do anything. I put down has great change of direction, makes people miss, lacks decision making, and he is an injury concern with little to no pass upside.
Little to no pass upside? Sir, have you not watched Tyjae Spears tape?
I have. Little to none.
Have you not seen the route running?
Well, I mean, you can run the greatest routes in the world. You just got to catch it.
That boy's crispy. I don't know. I'm pretty high on Tyjae. I think that. I'm not super high on him, but I'm higher than that.
Here's what I'm going to say. My list: 7, 8, 9, and 10. They're going to have to be outliers to have any kind of fantasy relevance. They're guys that I feel like, especially 9 and 10, those guys, you might be able to get them off the waiver wire after the draft.
Yeah, mine. I feel like until we know landing spot, I can't tell you that, right? Because if Ty
Right.
goes to New England and gets to play the third down role, I'm jumping on that. It's a good spot for him. But if he's playing in New Orleans, I don't want to touch it. So it just kind of depends.
Yeah.
My person is Tank Bigsby from Arkansas. Instead of talking a lot about Tank, I want to kind of jump to a guy that was omitted from my list, Sean Tucker from Syracuse.
Omitted.
Omitted. He is not in the top 10. Under 210 pounds, 3-star recruit. He did not average 6 yards per carry over his college career. He ran a 4.39 question mark. It was in a video, and we don't really know. And we've seen him have home run speed in the ACC, but I mean, I just don't. I question that number. No 15 touchdown season. I think Sean Tucker screams. He's another one of these small school guys that puts up 1,500 yards because all that school has. Goes to the NFL, never sees the field.
He's a guy that reminds me, and he's in my list, and I'll talk about him a little bit later. He reminds me of a Rashad Penny. That's the vibes I'm getting.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comparison. I don't think he's quite the athlete that Penny is, but
Right. Yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I'm struggling with Sean Tucker. Before we get too far, neither of us we have essentially the same list. So before we go too far, Roschon Johnson, do we think he has a chance to be successful in the NFL?
I absolutely don't know. I want to believe, you always look at these guys, right? Let's take Miles Sanders, for example. Similar situation coming out of college. Rode Saquon Barkley's, coattail. Productive when he played, right? But he just wasn't Barkley, so he was never going to be the guy. That's kind of how I feel about Roschon Johnson. There is a reality. Like when he played well. I watched a lot of Texas games. I feel like he could have been a force on a lot of other teams. He just never transferred, right? So his draft stock's going to tank. He could go way late, 5th, 6th, 7th round type of guy. But, he could offer some real upside to a team if he gets the opportunity. And that's going to be the thing with all of these guys outside of, the top 4 or 5. Like, opportunity is going to have to come their way for them to, even get a realistic shot. There's guys that are great that never got a chance. So, but yes, I do think there is a he was definitely my 11. If we had to have an honorary mention, he was going to be that guy for me. I would err on the fact of if he gets an opportunity, he's probably going to have an impact.
Yeah, I see him comped a lot to Chris Carson. And yeah, just like a big, hard runner that probably isn't great, but isn't bad either, and will probably produce at a decent level up to a certain point.
Right. Yeah. I'm a big fan, man. I'd love to see him go. BIJAN goes round 1 to somebody and he goes with him because they had a good thing at Texas, man. They were the perfect complement to each other in the run game. Every BIJAN needs a Roschon,
I like it. All right. Well, your number 9 running back and my number 9 running back are a flip of our 10. So you have Tank Bigsby, I have Tyjae Spears. Tell me about why is Tank over Tyjae here?
Just to be honest with you, I am a bigger fan of the product coming out of the bigger school. He has an NFL frame. For me, he's creative in space, sharp cuts, runs inside and out. My concern with him is sometimes he tries to force things that aren't there. That's all teachable though, so that's not a huge red flag for me. Tank is a fumble concern though. I think he fumbled 4 or 5 times last year.
Rojo 2.0.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. A lot of these guys, man, I tried to put a comparison to where people could kind of see, and I like that. I didn't have one for Tank. I kind of like that. I do have fumble concerned and no hands down.
Yeah, that screams Rojo.
Yeah.
Oh, man, R.I.P. Rojo. I have one for Tajay. As you were saying that, I'm trying to run through some comps for my guys. Tajay is like the Cadillac version of a Chase Edmonds.
Cadillacs are pieces of shit.
Well, like from 30,
They're still pieces of shit.
but you're from the hood.
Hmm?
It's a nice car as well. I'm trying to say that the
Cadillac's not nice, dude. I used to own one. It sucked.
Okay, well, it's okay. Well, he's not quite the Porsche version of Chase Edmonds because that's like JAHMYR GIBBS. So I can't. I mean, there's only really.
So like the Infinity version, maybe?
Yeah, the Lexus.
Don't drag Lexus into this. This is not that conversation.
All right. So Tank under. I'm not a big fan of Tank. 4.56 40. Under 5.5 or under 6 yards per carry in college over his whole career, under 100 speed score, under 118 burst score. Oh, it's just not. He's very Rojo. That smells like Rojo.
That does.
Yeah. All right, your RB8, Sean Tucker.
I mean, I am a fan of Sean Tucker. Like I said before, I just think he's kind of one of those guys that runs. He's got that low center of gravity. He runs hard. My comp for him is Doug Martin. We talked about it before. Those type of guys just generally don't last long in the NFL, and that's something you have to keep in mind in your dynasty drafts. Grab him, and if he has a productive year, sell immediately. Yep. That's kind of my take on those type of guys. Great lower body strength, good instincts. I think he waits too long for things to develop from what I've seen on tape. But the good thing about him is you can always count on him to fall forward. I think he has a great third down role in the league, but a limited time on that. So like I said, my comp's Doug Martin. You remember he had 2 good years followed by a lot of hype, and that's kind of the same outlook I have for Sean Tucker.
Yeah, I can see Tucker being, again, landing spot dependent, being all right. Just because I don't necessarily love him myself, it doesn't mean he couldn't. My RB8 is Izzy Abanikanda. This is a guy that Twitter has fallen in love with recently. I'm not sure I'm quite as high on him as Twitter is. I think this is a guy that if he gets drafted to a Miami or the Rams, he probably does vault into my top 5. If he goes to the Browns or teams that don't run outside zone quite as much or have an elite running back ahead of him, I'm not quite sure I love that for Abanikanda. He's he ran a 4.39. He's 216, 5'11", early declare. He's all those things that you like, but he's not a great runner outside of being fast, which in the outside zone system is really all you need at the NFL level, given the player IQ you're going to have. But in a more nuanced gap type scheme, power schemes, he's not going to do as well. So Abanikanda is totally landing spot dependent. That's why he's so down on my list. Until we know a landing spot, I don't think I really want to reach for that guy.
Yeah, and if anybody in your league has a Twitter, someone's going to get a bone. For me, he's 6, and it's potential only. But I'll get a little more into that as we get up there.
All right, your RB7, Caden. Kendre Miller from TCU.
Okay, yeah, he's a guy that I secretly like. 6 foot, 220, big and productive, decent vision. For me, one of the biggest points is he's able to drag defenders. I'll talk about that third down roll, that goal line work. The right situation falls to him. He'll have touchdown upside. I didn't find his 40. I didn't have a chance to look that up before the pod, but like I said, man, I think 4 through 10 is absolutely landing spot dependent for me. Now, the top 3 guys, I think they could be productive anywhere, but the rest of them, are interchangeable based off of where they end up.
Yeah.
What team they're in, does it fit them? Are they gonna, do they have 2 guys better than them already on the roster? Draft capital, all those things make a difference to these guys. Now, the top 3 guys, I don't think they do, but Kendre Miller, he's a guy that I secretly like in the right scheme. God, I'm trying to think of it. Maybe like a Chris Carson type of guy would be a good reference for him as well. And if he gets an opportunity, he will probably do well with it. But, I can't guarantee he will.
Yeah, I'm a little bit higher on Miller than you. He's definitely discount BIJAN. Very similar measurables. Not a super similar game, but if you like BIJAN, the numbers say you should like Kendre Miller as well. But we'll get to that later. All right, I really, 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 really super fun RB7. He's not even on your list. It's criminal. Deuce Vaughn. This is supercharged, Darren. This is if Reggie Bush came in the NFL today, but not like just the passing game version of Reggie Bush. Nothing else, because he's only 180. So I'm not. Deuce isn't going to run down the middle, but
No, he's not. No.
he's 5'5", 179. His BMI though is 29.8, which that plays. This isn't a guy you're going to be drafting hoping he's going to have a 15 touchdown a year like Jamal Williams just did. He's not that type of dude. He might be really, really, really good James White. He might be really explosive J.J. Taylor. I'm just thinking of New England passing backs at this point because I'm nothing else coming to my head. But you get the point.
He could be Rex Burkhead.
He might be skinny Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
Oh, fuck.
Hey,
he could be anything. He could be Samaje Perine.
Might be Samaje Perine. Anyways, Vaughn is just a supercharged version of these little scat backs, right? The guy's production profile is absolutely insane. Outside of yards per carry, he doesn't have a red mark on his profile other than the fact that he's 180. I think in the right situation, this is a guy that could have a lot of RB20 years. If you told me in 10 years that Deuce Vaughn had the most top 24 seasons and half PPR out of this class, I wouldn't really be that shocked. Because he could be a guy that catches 80 passes, 75 passes a year, but isn't going to be getting a lot of carries.
Probably. Fuck. James White had an RB1 season, and I think he rushed the ball 30 times?
Yeah.
Something ridiculous like that. We used to have a guy in our league that just always took him. Way early, always took him, didn't matter. And then that happened, and I was like, oh. Then something clicked, right? I was like, oh, shit, okay. But, I don't think he ever repeated that. But, yeah, definitely Deuce Vaughn is a dude. For me, the size concern, and I think there's more bad landing spots than good for him.
Agreed.
He's really going to have to get lucky to end up in a position to where he could be fantasy relevant, which I'm not saying is impossible because we all know anything is possible come April 26th, 27th, whatever. He could end up on the Kansas City Chiefs and be a fucking nightmare for everybody forever.
That's where I want.
Yeah, something like that. He could be what everybody thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to be.
That's been my landing spot for him for months now is Kansas City. It just makes sense.
It does. It does because McKinnon's just getting older,
Yeah, it makes so much sense. All right. Yeah, now you just got me stuck on how fun that would be. All right, your RB6, Caden. Izzy Abandakanda.
So I just wrote Izzy because I didn't even want to try to take stab at that guy's last name.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So 5'10", 216, stocky fella. Good cuts, good change of direction. Former sprinter, did you know that?
I did not know that.
Great acceleration, clearly because he was a former sprinter. The problem with him is doesn't wait for blocks to develop and will need development at the next level. So he's kind of a raw talent. My comp for him is Isaiah Pacheco. I think there's a lot of similarities in their game, small school fellas. Isaiah Pacheco on 25 other teams might not even be something we talk about, but ideal landing spots, the right development, all could be good for this guy. Like you said, he's a Twitter guy that Twitter does this thing, man. I didn't even have a Twitter until we started this podcast, and I kind of like it. I kind of hate it. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of in between. Like there's moments where I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? But there's some cool moments too. This is one of those where, I bit on DeAndre Swift last year, right? Like that was the thing. I was in, dude. I was so in, and that blew up in everybody's face.
I think we've moved on to a point in this where we'll no longer chase the Twitter fads as much.
No, I have, like, I will not listen to a Twitter fad.
Yeah.
But I did.
If they're 22 and it's all vibes, I don't care.
But yeah, so I'm gonna need a good landing spot for him. I'm gonna need not much competition, and then it's a go for me. But as of right now, it's all up in the
air. Yeah, that's fair. I don't. Yeah. All right, my RB6. I have another guy that I've seen on Twitter get a lot of love, and Devin Akane, 4.32. I think he ran track at A&M if I remember right. He's 5'8", 188. He's above Deuce Vaughn because I feel like he could play a similar role and be more explosive. Like him in the James Cook role in Buffalo would be great.
Yeah.
But again, he can't. He smells like CJ Spiller with the same landing.
CJ Spiller had some good years, man. Don't sleep on CJ.
Kane's gonna have some good years. Kane is a good player. I'm probably fucking his name up, but he's a good player. But I'm just not sure he's the best. I'm just not sure he's an elite top 4 running back like I see some people trying to say.
Okay, agreed. I got him at 4, and he's right outside of that. 1 through 3 for me, they could have multiple RB1 years, and I wouldn't be surprised. 4 through, like I said, 4 through 10, man, they're gonna need some help.
All right, your RB5. I'm so upset. DeWayne McBride.
Yeah, dude, you got a McBride boner, don't you?
He's not my Twitter crush. He just is a green analytical profile. I see it. He is what we thought Javonte might be before his knee got blown the fuck up.
Don't hate on Javonte. Daddy's coming back. So 5'10", 209. The comp for me is he kind of reminds me of Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack would have been great had he been given an opportunity.
And there's Achilles, more importantly.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about pre-Achilles. Marlon Mack was a good ass player.
He had an RB2 year, if I remember right, or like a really high end RB2 year. I swear.
Yeah. And if he didn't tear his Achilles, Jonathan Taylor would have never made it to the Colts. I don't think.
I agree.
I used to watch. There was a segment. I don't remember who it was. It might have been Field Yates, but you remember the NFL? And if this didn't happen, this is what would happen. Like
Yeah.
That's one of those. You know, if Marlon Mack never fucked his Achilles up, Jonathan Taylor might be on the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of different situations there. But yeah, DeWayne McBride for me, Marlon Mack type of play. Good blocker experience, power and finesse. A little too cautious inside. He has fumble concerns. 5'10", 210, give or take, is a good NFL frame these days.
No.
That's not. I don't hate that.
Prototype.
Yeah, it's almost getting to the point where 5'10", 209 is the prototype, and hey, guess what? I'm 5'10", 215, baby. I'm just not fast.
On DeWayne McBride. My RB5. For me, the tiers kind of go 6 to 10, very landing spot dependent. 5 to 3, I think can succeed as long as they get day 2 or better draft capital. My top 2, no matter where they go, are going to hit. When I say hit, I mean top in RB season at least twice. All right. Yep. So Kendre Miller, 5'11", 215 at the combine. Early declare 6.7 or 6.2 yards per carry in 2022. Had a 15-yard season. No 1,000-yard season by a sophomore year, which is why he's at 5. This is a guy that he's not necessarily the most athletic player on the field from what I've seen. He's not the most explosive runner. He's not going to run you over as hard as Derrick Henry. He's not going to stiff arm you outside of the field. But he's a good running back who can catch passes and will play in the system, pass protect, just play well. At RB5, that's what I want, a guy that can have 3 or 4 good seasons. Kendre Miller could definitely be a rotational grinder-type back, RB2, maybe like a Brian Robinson. A guy that you don't love, but at the right price can be really valuable.
Yes, I like that. I do like that comp as well. I think draft capital says a lot, and you almost, I think, top 3 guys, in my opinion, have a lot of good places they could go, but then after that, you almost got to follow the draft capital and go downward, because running back is so dependent on draft capital. I mean, a guy in the fucking 7th round you may never see again.
Yeah. Very right. This is all speculation.
Look at James Robinson. Look how fast he went away. Look at Elijah Mitchell. How quickly he became irrelevant.
Oh yeah.
Even though he played well, they both played well. Even I know you're an Achilles guy, but even post Achilles, James Robinson was tearing it up for a few games. And look how fast they went to the guy that they took in the first round.
I wouldn't say he was tearing it up.
He had some good games.
He scored some touchdowns, yeah. He did score.
I don't care how we get to the finish line as long as we get there.
All right. Your RB, Devin Achane.
Devin Achane, Texas A&M, 5'8", 188. I do not like those measurables. I'm going to come out and say that. That's bad numbers. That's bad vibes. I do like a 4'3", 240. I think he's a day 2 guy, obvious size concern. He's kind of one of those guys that finds a way. He's a good route runner. A little impatient when it comes to allowing plays to develop, which will be a concern at the next level. I like to call him like a slasher gadget guy. He's not going to have an every down role ever, but he could add some really good value. I'd look for him on punt return type of situations. I don't love him in fantasy. I just like him more in real life. Yeah. And I think kind of the situation. He could probably be a punt returner. He could have, 3rd and long type of value. That's kind of where I see him.
Yeah, I agree. Devin, he's not an every down back, but he definitely roll. I had him down at 6 purely because I again wanted my if you're in the top 5 and you have that low of a BMI, you got to be like just absolutely amazing. And I can't even comp anyone because there's no NFL running
either. Yeah.
that's good. Okay, my RB4, DEWAYNE McBride. Here is a guy I think that
Sorry.
that if he gets day 2 draft capital, which is up in the air, we don't know. I'm gonna keep him here. If he goes round 4, we might see about moving him down to 5 or 6, and after that, I mean, it's just RIP. But for the time being, super clean analytical profile outside of the catching. He's a really hard runner. When they played LSU, he wasn't doing great. Again, a lot of runnings dictated by blocking and linemen, but he's falling forward and gaining yards on an SEC defense, and a good one at that this year. DEWAYNE McBride, I comped him to Javonte a little bit. He's not a perfect one-to-one comp. Javonte's a lot stockier. He's 5'8", 215, as opposed to 5'11", 209. So it's not a perfect one-to-one comp, but a bruiser, a guy that's not going to be running past you as much as running through you. I want to say he ran 4.54 at his pro day, so right on that line of 4.55. I really like McBride. He's a small school guy, so capital matters here a lot, but I like him in a power gap running system. He wouldn't fill it, but maybe the Damian Harris role in New England would be an ideal spot for him, or a comp.
Yeah, I can give it that. I do like McBride.
All right, your RB3. Actually, I think we have the same RB3 2-1. JAHMYR GIBBS.
So JAHMYR GIBBS, Alabama, 199, 5'9", 4.36 40. That's fast. I think he's going to be the type of guy. He's a mismatch maker. He adds juice to the offense. Do I think he's going to be an every down back? Do I think he's going to be super fantasy relevant, even in the wrong place? Probably not. He smells to me like that type of guy that you are going to sit 1 week, he's going to blow up. You're going to put him in the next week, he's going to go limp on you. Never going to really be able to call when he's going to go off, but he will go off. That's the kind of player he is. I think he'll probably have a large role in a return game. He's got soft hands, he can make that catch. He's a mismatch maker on offense. The size is a concern in the NFL at the next level, but I think my comp is Alvin Kamara light. Low end Alvin Kamara. Think Jamal Charles. Those type of guys, if they get in the right system, they can be great. But it's got to be a good landing spot.
I agree. I think GIBBS, another Kansas City dream landing spot is JAHMYR GIBBS. I love that.
I love that too. Yeah.
If he's not going to get targets, it's not going to work out. So
exactly.
And
if he's not going to get targets, he's just going to be a punt return.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll eat up a couple of carries, but it won't be anything crazy. But he is in that same Spiller Charles body / play style of super fast, explosive. I think Charles is the clear-cut best of the three, and it's not really close, but same archetype of player.
Yeah. Kamara is a lot stockier than Charles was.
Yeah.
Like, Kamara's a thick motherfucker. I mean, when you really look at him, like, that boy, I've seen his workouts. He'll pick up a fucking squat rack and walk a mile. You know what I mean? He does some crazy shit. But, maybe when this guy gets out of college, maybe he'll call up Alvin and see what he's been doing.
Hey.
Besides that boy down in Vegas.
Don't fight people. All right. RB2 for us is Zach Charbonnet. I'll take this one. 6 foot 215, 4-star recruit. He's a senior declared, though he could have came out last year. And I actually had him highly rated last year, too. 4.5, 340. He had an 101 speed score, a 123 burst score, so the athleticism plays. This is like This is like an Arian Foster, DeMarco Murray type of guy. I mean, not overly fast, agile, hard runner, reads the blocks well, good hands, tuned up James Conner. I'm all about Charbonnet. I've gotten into the situation where I'm trying to move good players for the ability to grab either Charbonnet or JSN and then add a +1. Because both of them, I think Charbonnet is close to landing spot proof. As close as you could get without being there. But either one, JSN or Charbonnet, I'm happy with us at a 105. They should probably be top 4 picks in Superflex.
Yeah, I mean, I do like Charbonnet too. Man, I've got a dream scenario where he ends up in Cincinnati to take over for
Yes.
Mixon. He's kind of, and then I think we see a new dimension.
Ooh, that would be so good. Yeah, Mixon's not – he's good, but he's a jag. I mean, he's a good, between the tackles.
You can't say jag without putting some context to it. Like, you said that in all those group chats, and everybody thought you meant he was a Jaguar, and I was like, God damn it, I'm the only one who understands what you're saying.
Fantasy Twitter.
Just another guy.
You don't deserve to know what that means. You got to go learn it.
Yeah. My comp for him is A.J. Dillon with better hands.
But Zach Charbonnet is good at football.
Oh, God. I'm not talking about work ethic. I'm talking about skill set. It'd be like A.J. Dillon if he was more like Aaron Jones. Or Aaron Jones like he was. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon had a kid.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I like that. That makes more sense. I'm liking where that's going.
Yeah. Strong downhill runner, tackle breaker. He'll drag a motherfucker. That I like all that. Really good in pass protection, which is going to be a valuable key to him being on the field at the next level. Definite 3-down potential. Patient. I think he's as, like you said, he's as close to landing spot proof as possible. But man, I'd love to see him in Cincy.
I would agree. That's great.
I think that does add a dimension to their offense that they didn't have because Mixon can catch passes. It's just not what he does.
Yeah, he's good.
Can he do it? Yes. Is he great at it? No. And this guy is great at it. So I think it gives Joe Burrow a little bit of. And you got to realize T. Higgins. They can't pay T. Higgins. They can't pay T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow. So you grab this guy if he goes to Cincy, and in a year, man, the vacated targets might be unreal. Yep.
All right, both of our RB1s. It's pretty much everyone's RB1. Bijan Robinson. We already know all about Bijan. So unless you have anything new, I want to kind of take the discussion on this a little different. We've all heard about Bijan. Is he generational? And are we sure about
it? I'll go over my spiel on Bijan. I spent a lot of time watching Bijan. My comp for him is Josh Jacobs with better hands.
Yeah, I like that.
215, 5'11". Man, that's my measurables too, but I bet he's way more cut than I am. 4'6", 440 or 4.46 40. Ran 6.1 yards a carry last year. Agile feet. I think he's an elite talent. Strong, better receiver, 3-down back, has great angles, can drop on a dime. I think he is every bit the prospect that Saquon Barkley was. And here's what we know. Is he's not going to go top 10. Now, he might go 10, but he's not going to go top 5. Like we knew Saquon was going to go 1 or 2, right? 1 or 2 to a bad situation. He could go if he went 20.
I got
25, 30. It wouldn't surprise me because that's just what happens with running backs anymore. So imagine Saquon Barkley falling into a team that was in the playoffs the year before. I think he has way better of an opportunity to have an immediate impact than Saquon Barkley did.
He's not Saquon, but he is a Nick Chubb clone.
I think he's 100% over Zeke, over Leonard Fournette, over those guys right out the gate.
I agree, but I don't think some of those guys should have been quite as highly received as they were.
I mean, yeah, I agree.
I hope BIJAN doesn't get stuck on the Eagles.
Yeah, there's a lot of heads out there if he goes to the Eagles. That was a good opportunity for a while, but my dream landing spot for him is, unfortunately, the Cowboys.
I like that.
I don't want to see him go to the Cowboys, but I think fantasy-wise, that'd be the best thing for him because you know Jerry Jones is about that fucking draft smoke. Like he wants to make a splash. He'd rather make a headline than a good football team. Sorry to any Cowboys fans that are out there listening to this, but it's what he does. He's a showman. He's not a team leader, you know. They have consistently always had a top shelf running back, always had a top shelf quarterback, always like their offense is their priority.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony Pollard, sorry to fantasy Twitter if anybody's watching this, but Tony Pollard is not a fucking every down back.
Nope.
He is gonna fuck so many people on draft day this year. It's not even funny because I've seen him go in underdog drafts in the second fucking round, and that is insane to me.
You can get Breece Hall 2 picks before Tony Pollard sometimes. Stupid.
I would so much rather have Breece Hall because he's a real NFL running back.
Do you know how old he is?
However old you are, you already told me.
No, Pollard.
Oh, 25, 26, right?
Yeah, he'll be 26 this year. So he's old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's already upped on his contract. He's franchised it. Yeah, so he's at least 4 years out. He's a guy that I am fading hard at his ADP.
Oh, yeah.
And you know as well as I do, every market, every situation has a fucking fuckboy Cowboys fan that is going to go in heavy on that. And I bet you at the end of this draft season, I have 0 shares of Tony Pollard.
I probably won't have. I can't justify that price point.
For a guy that, I mean, you're talking about, looking down our list of guys, you're talking about a JAHMYR GIBBS in a system where he's going to be RB1 in the NFL. It's just not going to go well.
What if I think GIBBS is a better player?
I do too. I actually do too. I think he's a better football player than Tony Pollard.
Oh.
Tony Pollard just got in a situation where he was behind a bruiser. You know, that's what Zeke was. That's what Zeke did. He ran hard, ran low to the earth, and he benefited from blown coverage.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You are not wrong. Do we want to touch on anything else?
How many days are we away from the draft?
26.
Man, we're getting close, buddy.
We are. I hope JSN gets drafted to New England.
I hate to break it to you.
I already know. You don't need to break it to me.
They're going to go with probably a D2 or 3 corner.
Go with that D3 guy I sent you.
I can't remember who it was, but that was funny.
Funny. All right.
No, yeah, I think JSN, I think he's a realistic. He's in play in Chicago. I'd like to see him in Houston, but I think you're right. I think Nick Caserio has like a need to find a Randy Moss replacement. So I bet a Quentin Johnston's more realistic for us. But if Chicago and Houston both pass, it could be, but I don't think Bill does that.
Yeah.
He ran too fast, dude, and he's black. So they're gonna need that white guy that ran that 4.740.
Yeah. He's the difference maker. Well, John, no, he's that his name's Max Duggan.
And oh no, Max Duggan's coming to New England. You can go ahead and book that.
He's slot receiver.
That
he runs a 4.65.
That's the thing about Bill is he is so successful in this league that I think he just does whatever he wants at this point.
Hey, Duggan the 6'2", 207, he ran a 4.52. Yeah, that sounded pretty good there right now.
Put an 11 on his jersey and make him a receiver. Yeah. But Bill just does whatever the fucking hell he wants in the draft, and it's so widely trashed. But so many years of him having Tom and all these successful pieces,
it works out sometimes as long as it's not a skill guy. It's actually quite good at drafting.
And I saw something about the wide receivers New England has drafted.
Yeah, it's shit.
It's bad. So you don't want him to draft JSN, probably, because then he'll be what everybody thinks he's going to be.
The disrespect's ridiculous. All right, guys, we will be back next week with wide receivers, the week after for tight ends, week after that with draft expectations, and then it's draft time. So,
and then the week after that with kickers.
That'll be a fun one. One, is it Justin Tucker or Evan McPherson? I have no numbers, all vibes, Justin Tucker.
At this point, Justin Tucker shouldn't even be a conversation. If you take the first kicker on the board, dude, tell them about the guy in our keeper league.
Oh, yeah, there's an older guy that plays with us who drafted Justin Tucker. It was only like the 3rd or 4th round. And everyone it
was the 1st round of a 3-keeper.
Okay, so the 4th round, but the 1st round of the draft past the 3 keepers. And everyone kind of laughed at him and was like, oh, this fucking idiot. And, there were probably some weeks Justin Tucker won him some games.
Absolutely. But the guy was like, I almost kept Justin Tucker in a 3-keeper. And I'm like, dude, you could have got him in the fucking 8th.
It's easy, the disconnect between the industry people and normal fantasy football players.
Yeah.
Some of these home league guys, they don't give a fuck enough to know.
Yeah, I think he was probably beyond hammered because he was one of the few people that wasn't here doing it. But yeah, Justin Tucker 101, I think he probably would have done.
Yeah. All righty, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for watching.